All right, let's talk about AI and data science. It's this huge, exciting world, right? But it can also be kind of confusing. What if you had a clear path, like a step-by-step guide, to take you from I have no idea what I'm doing to being ready for action? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build today.
So, have you ever looked at this whole AI thing and just felt completely overwhelmed? Like, where do you even start? If that's you, trust me, you are not alone. There are so many languages and libraries and weird concepts, it can feel like you're lost in a massive forest with no map. But here's the good news. You don't have to wander around aimlessly. The secret? You just need a map. And that's exactly what this is. Think of this as your clear, structured roadmap, a proven path to get you through that forest. So what's on the map? Well, here's our journey. We're going to start at, the starting line. Then we'll get into decoding the data, building some cool, intelligent models, and even diving into deep learning. After all that, we'll talk about choosing your own AI path, and we'll wrap it all up with a full 9-month quest to make it all happen. Sound good? Okay, first stop, the starting line. This is all about laying down your core foundations. Seriously, think of this as pouring the concrete for a skyscraper you're about to build. It's got to be solid, right? Otherwise, the whole thing comes crashing down. And I really can't stress this enough. Without this stuff, you are absolutely going to struggle later. It's just a fact. If you're serious about this, skipping this first step, it's just not an option. So what are these non-negotiable skills? 3 big things. First, you got to learn Python. It is the language of data science. Next up, you need to master its key data libraries. We're talking NumPy for numbers and Pandas for handling all your data tables. And finally, get a solid grip on the basics of SQL. That's how you talk to databases. These 3 are your starter pack, your foundational toolkit. Okay, so to make this all real, here's your first mission, should you choose to accept it. Go find the classic Titanic dataset. Yep, that Titanic. Your goal is to use your new Python and Pandas skills to clean it all up and pull out some basic insights. This is where the theory gets real, fast. All right, you've got your coding tools. Now it's time to learn the language that data actually speaks. And that brings us to part 2, decoding the data. This is where we get into the essential math and statistics. When you boil it all down, the logic is super simple. Data science is just data plus stats. That's it. You really can't have one without the other. This is the intellectual engine that's going to power everything else we do. Okay, deep breaths. Don't let this list scare you off. I promise, you do not need a PhD in math for this. What you need is a practical, kind of intuitive feel for these core ideas. Things like mean, median, the basics of probability, how to test an idea, a hypothesis. We're just talking about the stuff you'll actually use day to day. All right, ready for your next mission? Go find a sample A/B test. Like which version of a website button gets more clicks. Then, use your new stat skills to figure out if the result is actually legit or if it was just random. Okay, foundations are poured. We've learned the language of data. Now we are ready for the really, really cool part, building intelligent models. This is your official welcome to the world of machine learning. And let me be totally clear here. This is the absolute core of data science. This is the moment we stop just looking at what happened in the past and we start teaching the computer to predict the future. It's a game changer. So what is machine learning anyway? Well, at its heart, it's just teaching computers to find patterns and make predictions from data. That's it. And it's basically split into 2 main camps. You've got supervised learning. That's where you give the computer examples with the right answers, kind of like flashcards. And then there's unsupervised learning, where you just dump a bunch of data on it and say, hey, find some interesting patterns in here for me. The key here is knowing which tool to pull out of your toolbox for which job. You're going to want to master these essential algorithms, and you'll mostly be using this amazing Python library called scikit-learn. This list here covers the big stuff, from predicting numbers and classifying things, all the way to grouping similar data points together. Welcome to the next level, diving into deep learning. Here, we're going to explore the incredible power of artificial neural networks. Yeah, I know. Deep learning can sound super intimidating, but we can break it down into a few manageable steps. First, you just need to get the basic idea of how a neural network works. Then, you learn about some specialized types, like CNNs, which are amazing for understanding pictures, and RNNs, which are brilliant for working with text and sequences of data. And this all leads us to a classic and really fun advanced mission,
building your own image classifier. You could start with the famous MNIST dataset. That's a bunch of handwritten numbers. Or you could tackle the super popular cat versus dog challenge. This is where you really see the magic of deep learning come to life with your own hands.
What kinds of problems you're passionate about solving? It's your choose your own adventure moment. So you can start to specialize. Are you fascinated by language? Awesome. Dive into NLP, and you could build something like a movie recommender. Or maybe you're intrigued by visuals. Then computer vision is for you. You can teach machines to literally see and detect objects in photos. And hey, if you just love tackling enormous challenges, then big data and cloud ML is your jam. Lot of ground to cover, wasn't it? So the big question is, how do you actually do all this? Well, let's bring it all together in our final section, your 9-month quest. This is a realistic timeline to make this whole journey feel doable. This timeline is where our roadmap really comes to life. Check it out. You spend the first month just on those core skills, Python, SQL, data handling. The next couple months, all about math and stats. Then months 4 and 5 are for machine learning. Month 6 is dedicated to mastering the workflow, how to put it all together. Months 7 and 8, you dive into deep learning. And from month 9 on, it's all about you and your specialization. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. This is how you pace yourself to actually get there. And that's it. We started this whole thing by talking about how this field can feel like a giant, overwhelming forest without a path. Well, not anymore. You have the map. And look, this path isn't just about learning cool stuff for the sake of it. The ultimate promise is this. If you follow this map, you'll become a solid data science student, totally ready to tackle real-world projects and, land a job in this field. So the map is in your hands now. You've got the path, you've got the tools, and you've got the timeline. The only question left is, where will your quest take you?